But yeah, just tell us about, tell us about yourself.
Yeah.
A couple comments about your journey, how you got here, and then context on, why are we sitting in this booth? Why is this here?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I am, as many people are here, a hobbyist. So got into FPV a long time ago, racing drones, and I liked building drones as well. And it was costly as a college student. And so I looked at a career that would allow me to continue to build drones and develop that hobby in a more professional manner. And the test site was growing. AX Enterprise was doing some government contracting with software, which was my background, as well as with aircraft. And so that led me to join the company about 10 years ago. And I've been working there for 10 years.
Yeah, that's cool.
A few years ago, AX Enterprise, the company I work for, took over the day-to-day operations of the New York UAS Test Site. And so I moved up to Rome, and we operate out of the airport now, conducting some of our government contracts at AX Enterprise at the test site, as well as managing customer operations. So doing some research projects and bringing in customers that want to test primarily aircraft that are bigger than 55 pounds, above 400 feet.
Okay, right. Because I was going to ask, if you have any more context on why UAS test sites, why are they necessary? What's the use case? And then where is it going? Where do you guys see test sites playing a role as things develop, which they are quite rapidly, on how high you can fly, how far you can fly? There's so much going on in drone technology, obviously.
Yeah, it's an exciting time.
As a quick example, we had a agriculture group that we work with Echodyne radars, and they're moving towards our bigger radar now because they're very soon we're going to double or triple our range with whatever the hybrid, all these batteries, everywhere that it's going. They're saying the next gen is going to go 6 or 7 miles as opposed to 2 or 3 miles. And suddenly, because technology is moving so quickly, it's the cost per acre for the actual drone,
the hardware,
for the radars, for every component. All of a sudden, you cut it, cuts in half, and suddenly it's affordable, and the business case is there. So anyway, just something I picked up just yesterday at the booth. But what are some of your thoughts? Why a test range? What's coming next down the pipe?
Yeah, absolutely. So test ranges are valuable, in my opinion, because it allows a customer that might have limited resources to experiment with where their company can go or where their aircraft can go without having to expend considerable resources themselves. So the test sites often have expedited access to waivers, to approvals, and to direct FAA support. So depending on that novel aircraft that a company might be developing, if they want to do something that they can't do at their home base, and we're really looking at operations that are group 3 or 4 drones that might be above 55 pounds, that's a little bit harder for them to do at home if they're a smaller company.
Or even Whisk over here.
Yep.
We just got to do a little tour of their
Exactly. That's
airplane.
A large aircraft. Getting a COA for that at a random home base might be difficult. In a city, maybe because of population, some of the risks of initial transition flights, for example. We have COAs existing and a facility, the 12,000-foot runway, where we can bring in those aircraft, conduct some of those tests in a rapid iterating environment, and produce immediate results that are actionable for them. So it's a way for
speed
for
to
customers
market, speed
to
to testing.
And the New York test site particularly, we have generally a 4-week lead time for testing. So instead of planning months or years in advance, you can schedule with us, provide some documentation, work on the safety, and then come on site and fly in a very fast time frame.
So really then it's speed to iteration as well, because these are often untested airfoil shapes and new aircraft that need lots of flight time documented, that's safe, that they could submit data to the FAA consistently, essentially, right, to get approved. So where can they fly? They need to be able to have, it's a conundrum. It's you have to show that you've flown many times, but you're not allowed to fly.
The chicken before the egg.
Anywhere, except
so we have, you could call it an incubator, you could say, where if the FAA wants to know that you can fly safely, we actually have an indoor flight environment as well. It's called Skydome. So it's a 1 million cubic foot area. It's built inside an old B-52 hangar, and it's 150 by 150 by 50 feet tall. And it's a netted, shielded anechoic chamber that allows people to come in with an aircraft that they maybe have never flown before, and do their maiden flight, do their initial tuning in that completely controlled environment. That can be before they have an N number, before they've registered the aircraft, before they have all the kinks worked out. It's a secured, safe environment.
Because you're technically not in the national airspace.
Non-navigable airspace. And as part of being outside of that airspace, you also have no FAA rules. So you can fly swarms, you can fly one-to-many, you can fly challenging aircraft that might mitigate other systems. Being
Okay.
a shielded environment, it also has Faraday properties and anechoic material. So you can do a whole wide variety of RF testing. It's a quiet environment, but it can also be loud inside and not transmit that sound outside. So it's a unique environment that actually transitions onto the airfield with a netted area.
Oh, wow.
So you can go from that GPS denied internal environment to a netted environment, still non-navigable airspace. And then once you've done that crawl and walk portion, we have a large area where you can hover transition, you can go to fixed wing flight, and airspace extending up to 60,000 feet.
Wow. Okay, so do you have, of what you can share, 2 or 3 examples of really interesting projects or interesting things you've seen people do?
Yeah, there was a company called Liquid Piston that had some DoD contracts to develop a novel aircraft with a rotary engine, a hybrid combustion that generated energy on board. It's about a 300-pound quad plane, so a big VTOL aircraft. And they had not done very much tuning. They'd not done very much testing of it. They were having trouble finding a safe way to test it. They didn't even have it registered at first. And so we were able to bring them into the Skydome chamber, exercise that chamber to do some RF properties of the aircraft, do some hover flights of the aircraft. And now they're working towards doing that quad plane transition and really going from the crawl, walk to the run.
Nice.
We've also had customers come in. Aurora Flight Sciences has their Diamond DA-42. So an aircraft that's a certified aircraft, they added a system of actuators and controls to manipulate the pilot controls in the aircraft. And they've been able, through a number of different tests that they've held at Griffiths, to perform autonomous, completely uncrewed flights, optionally crewed flights, as well as a variety of very unique air traffic control communication flights. So if you are in a lost comm situation, coming in for an automated landing, and the tower says go around, you need a synthesizer on board to interpret that radio traffic and make that actionable controls for the autopilot. So they've tested autonomous communication with the air traffic control that we have on site, as well as some very sophisticated autonomous landing and taxi systems.
And it probably doesn't all work perfectly the first time.
That's why we're a test site. That's why the test sites exist.
And then change some code, add a more powerful sensor or whatever. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, last but not least, how can people reach you if they have interest in partnering with the range?
New York UAS Test Site.com is the website. It's owned and operated by Oneida County, the local upstate New York county. And the test site is really, it has a large online presence. Find us on LinkedIn or YouTube at the website and get in touch. And probably myself or one of my team members would be happy to learn.
Come on. All right, Zevi. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming and talking.
It's got like a little back to it.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
You too. Thanks.
Pleasure.